What is going on, you guys? I have got another KeyForge deck analysis for you. We're looking at Reverie, Contemplative Bay Professor. The names on this are just hilarious. And what we're doing today is we're at Cool Stuff Waterford here in Orlando, Florida, and they're having a KeyForge day, and they have a couple of decks on hand, and I basically asked if I could take a look at them. So we'll take a look at the deck list on this card. And there it is. And we have some different factions here. We've still got Logos and Shadows, which I have in other decks, but we have a new one called Dis, and I haven't seen a whole lot of Dis yet, so they do seem like they're a little bit control-oriented, so we'll be taking a look at these cards. First thing we're going to look at is the artifacts for Logos, and we have this one. This is a location artifact, which is interesting. It's going to give us an amber, and it's called the Howling Pit. During the draw card step, each player refills their hand to one additional card, which is very, very nice, especially since that will affect you first, but very, very cool. But you know, this is one of those cards that could also help your opponent, so it's not that great. And we have another artifact here, which is an action of destroying a damaged creature. This is the Anomaly Exploiter. Great for if you've got those little, you know, skirmish creatures, or just a little 1/1 or a 1-power creature. It's a nice way to try and get rid of a big creature, although this one won't work as well against those creatures that have armor because it's harder to get damage on them. Will combo well with damage spells, though. So, speaking of spells, or actions rather, let's look at Fogify. We've seen this one before. Your opponent cannot use creatures to fight on their next turn, and so you're going to gain an amber for playing that. We've got the Twin Bolt Emission. I do like the actions that are dealing damage. Every deck needs some of them as a way to just deal with problematic creatures, because if your opponent gets too many creatures, you're going to basically just it's going to start to cascade and run away from you. So this one is going to deal 2 damage to a creature and deal 2 damage to a different creature. So this one, since you have to do as much as you can do this if your opponent has 1 creature and you have nobody, but if your opponent only has 1 creature and you have creatures out, you're probably going to have to hurt your own creature as well. So, you know, it's just one of those you have to wait for when you want to go ahead and play it. Scrambler Storm, this one's nice, also giving you an amber as an action. When you play this, your opponent cannot play action cards on their next turn. This is one of those few ways that you could potentially cut down a key charge or something like that. Really, really cool card. I like this one. I like this one a lot, actually. This may be one of my favorite cards from Logos. And Library Access for the remainder of the turn. Each time you play another card, draw a card. This one is insanity. Absolutely love it. Again, it's only going to really help you if you are just running Logos, and if you've got a handful of Logos cards, because you can't just keep playing cards that you draw, because you're going to draw other factions. Very, very cool. Now let's look at creatures. This deck looks strong because it's got a lot of creatures. We've got 6 Logos creatures, which is different than my other decks. But we'll start off with Mother. Mother is a 5-power, so expensive robot scientist. During your draw card step, refill your hand to 1 additional card. Now I like this one much better than the other one during the Howling Pit here, but boy, you really would be having a lot of card draw in that. And this deck looks like it's going to be able to filter through itself very well and just keep getting stuff in your hand. It seems like a very powerful deck, as a matter of fact. And Dexter, dude, look at the artwork on this. This is funny. They've cut a human head off and they've put it onto a robot. And he's a power 3, and when you play him, you can capture an amber, which is always nice. It's great to have those abilities. And when he's destroyed, you get to put him on top of your deck. And considering you're doing so much draw, this combos really well with the other Logos cards in here, because you can play Logos, play that card. Oh, I can keep drawing more cards, then attack with this guy. He goes on top of your deck. Then you draw another Logos card, and you can play him again, recapture the one that you just lost when he was destroyed, etc. Very cool stuff. The Ganymede Archivist, when you reap, you can archive a card. Archiving is just a great way to increase your starting hand size for the following turn. And then we actually get 2 of the Ganymede Archivists, and we have 2 Dexters too. He was underneath there. But I like the Ganymede Archivist too. Plus he's power 3, so he's a little bit tougher. The Neutron Shark is a really cool one. This one showed up in the Central Florida KeyForge group. I saw this one a few weeks ago on Facebook. But this one is the when he's got play, fight, or reap. You can destroy an enemy creature or artifact and a friendly creature or artifact. Discard the top card of your deck. If the card is not Logos, trigger this again. He can completely wipe out the board and also help filter through your deck. So this is the type of deck I have a feeling you're going to run through the whole deck very, very quickly. So now we're going to go ahead and look at the Shadows cards, and we start off with a Skeleton Key, which is an artifact. This is our only artifact from Shadows, and it's an item, and it says, for an action, a friendly creature captures an amber. Pretty nice, pretty standard, not super overpowered, but just regular good card. Not bad at all to have. And then we have some actions. I think we got about 5 actions here. We have Pawn Sacrifice. First off, this is giving you an amber, and when you play, you have to sacrifice a friendly creature. If you do, deal 3 damage each to 2 creatures. That's really, really nice, especially with creatures like Bad Penny, or the creatures that you want to be destroyed, that they go back on your deck. And again, you don't have to sacrifice a Shadows creature. You can sacrifice any creature, so that would be good with our little Dexter guy, and putting him back on top of my library. Booby Trap. This is another action. Deal 4 damage to a creature that's not on a flank, with 2 splash damage. And now I'm not sure what splash is. I'll have to look that up, but I think it's going to hit it's going to hit the sides of them. That's at least what it sounds like. But that's pretty cool. It's a big, big damage attack, and I like it. But I have to look up splash damage. If your opponent has exactly 1 amber, steal it. Ghostly Hand. It's not bad. This is actually really good, considering it's already got 2 amber on it. So even if they don't have 1, you can still play this and gain 2 amber. And then Miasma, you're making your opponent skip their Forge a Key, is really great. And then Poison Wave, I think, is a must-have for just about any deck. If you can, it's just so good to be able to clear. Like, if your opponent starts getting lots and lots of creatures, just play this and kind of wipe the board out. Now we got 6 creatures. Now, we already had 6 for Logos, so now we're getting 6 for Shadows. So that's one of the things. This is going to be a very creature-heavy deck. So we're going to start off with Smiling Ruth. She's got Elusive and Reap. If you forge the key, you can take control of an enemy flank creature. It's hard to make this work because you have to play her before the turn that you forge the key, usually, because she's not going to be able to Reap the turn she comes into play. But just the chance to take control of an enemy creature is really strong. Next is Umbra, and he's got Skirmish. And when he fights, he steals an amber. We've got Silvertooth. He enters play ready. I like that. I like that a lot. I don't have this in either of my decks, so I think that's a really cool card. You can come in and just Reap right away with him. Old Bruno. He's got Elusive, and he captures 3, so he's a good way to shut down your opponent. Dodger steals 1 after he fights, and he's 5 strength. Nothing too flashy on him, but Bad Penny is one of the coolest creatures out here, because she just comes back to your hand. So anytime you're attacking with her, you're gonna be able to play her again, like right away, because it means you've chosen Shadows as your faction. Very cool. So now we're going to be looking at Dis. Now Dis is a very different faction that I've seen because I don't have any of Dis in my decks. So very cool red and black looking, and they do a lot of control, it looks like. So first off, Dominator Bauble. As an action, you can use a friendly creature. So this is a way for you to break outside of just having to use Dis for everything, because it could be a different creature that's like, maybe you have the Neutron Shark out here or something like that. So that's cool. I like that. Life Ward. It has Omni. So Omni, again, is one of those abilities that you can use even if you haven't chosen Dis as your clan or faction for this particular round. So you can, declare Shadows and then still use Life Ward. You can sacrifice Life Ward. Your opponent cannot play creatures on their next turn. Just shutting people down. You can't play creatures. A lot of control in this particular faction. And we have an upgrade. It's a Flame Wreathed. A creature gets +2 power and gains Hazardous 2 before they're attacked to deal 2 damage to the attacking enemy. And it's an Amber. This is a really, really good upgrade. This is amazing for so many reasons. For one, it's giving you an Amber right away. So even if it did nothing, it's still nice to have an Amber. But it's going to give him +2 power. That's attack and toughness. And Hazardous 2. That's so, so good. All right, now let's look at our actions. We got a couple actions in here. And we're going to start off with this one that I think is just insane, and it deals more with the control. We get a lot of control in this deck. This one's called Control the Weak. Choose a house on your opponent's identity card. Your opponent must choose that house as the active house on their next turn. So basically you're forcing your opponent, no, I don't want you to play Shadows, that you have all these Shadows creatures out. You have to play Logos or whatever. And you have 2 of these. 2 of those is so much control. It's crazy. And again, in this deck that you're going to be filtering through stuff so fast, you're likely to play this. You could play this 3 times in a game. I mean, even more than that maybe, because you're going to filter through and then reshuffle and all that stuff. Fear, return an enemy creature to its owner's hand when you play this card. So again, more bounce. A lot of things reminding me of Blue Magic and Magic the Gathering. Mind Barb, your opponent discards a random card from their hand. I'm not a big fan of forcing people to discard, but it's only 1 card, so it's not like the whole deck is built around it. So I'm okay with a little bit of poke, a little bit of screw your neighbor that way. All right, now our creatures. Toxin is a 3-power creature. Is a demon. When you reap, your opponent discards a random card from their hand. Okay, so a little bit more discard. And we have 2 toxins. So there's 3 total discard cards, but at least with the creatures, you have a chance to deal with them before they come into play, or before they're untapped and able to be used. Next, we've got 2 Charettes, and when you play them, they're a 4-power and they capture 3. So that's a nice creature. It's a great way to shut down somebody. Capture 3 is a good way to stop you from forging a key. And 4-power means they're pretty tough and they're able to survive most damage spells. And then the Guardian Demon, very nasty looking. A 4-power, also another demon. Play, fight, and reap. You can heal up to 2 damage from a creature and deal that amount of damage to another creature. Would combo really, really well with the Charette, with it, considering it's 5. Also will combo well with, maybe your 5-power guy here over in Dodger. It'd be good because Dodger wants to fight and get hurt anyway to keep stealing Amber. So a lot of cool combos in this deck. I think it's going to be awesome. I can't wait to play this deck. So maybe we'll be able to get some games in here today. Cool stuff, Waterford. But let me know, guys, are you excited for KeyForge? A few more months, and then it'll be coming out. I think this game is just going to be so much fun. Just picking up a deck and just learning it and playing it and seeing how well you can kind of do your best to make it work for you. All right, guys, that's all I got. There's still time to enter the latest giveaways. Just click on the links and check out the description below as well. I have new giveaways coming on all the time, but you do have to be a subscriber for that. So make sure you are subscribed. Click that bell for alerts so you don't miss out on all the latest content. I want to thank you guys so much for watching, and have a great day.